Hi, this is Greg Suttie on Soccer, and we are here in San Diego at the Marriott Marquis Hotel, right on the marina in downtown San Diego. And what a beautiful place, what a beautiful setting, what a beautiful day, and what a beautiful couple of guys I got right here, right? I have Ed Tepper and Guy Newman. Ed Tepper, if you don't know these names, you shouldn't even be watching this video. This is Ed Tepper along with Earl Foreman. Ed Tepper and Earl Foreman got together a number of years ago. We're going to talk about this from the very beginning and got the MISL started in what indoor soccer is today and has been now for going on 40 years. Guy Newman. Guy Newman's a legend. Guy Newman's dad is a legend. And one of the beautiful things about Guy Newman being here with us today, and we were going to talk about a little bit, is how back then, when the NASL was sort of at its peak and then into the dying years of the NASL, Guy Newman was a part of the NASL activity and the action going on, and I'm going to ask him a little bit about how his feelings were back then as a player to what the MISL and the NASL thing was, because in the press there was a war, but as far as the players are concerned. So I just want to welcome you, Ed Tepper. Thank you so much for asking us down here.
Thank you.
Guy Newman.
Greg,
I can't tell you how much it's awesome it is to see you again. So Ed, let's talk a little bit about the beginning of indoor soccer, what your experience was and how you got this thing going.
For me, I had a box lacrosse team. The wings that played in the Spectrum.
So indoor lacrosse.
Indoor lacrosse.
Interesting.
And they played on plywood. They painted it green.
Okay.
Now I'm up in Toronto, and I get a call from Ed Snyder, who owns the Flyers and the Spectrum, a good friend of mine. And he said, there's a game tonight, a soccer game, but they're not using the plywood, they're using AstroTurf. Back then, it was an experiment.
Right. In fact, I remember that the Houston baseball team named their team the Astros because they were the first place to put AstroTurf down on the field. The Astrodome. That's right. So you go to this indoor soccer game with AstroTurf on the field.
I flew in from Toronto, had dinner with Ed, went out to watch the game. I saw the AstroTurf, and I'm going to tell you something. It changed the game.
Wow.
It changed the game. So anyway, in my mind, I thought this indoor soccer would be a great sport, but the way it was played is that they had goals 4 by 16.
Okay.
So there was no headshot, no scissor kick.
Okay. So there are these little tiny goals, and you're thinking if we open the goal up, we open the game up. Wow.
So I contacted Earl Foreman, who was actually Ed's brother-in-law, and Earl owned part of the Eagles and other sports teams. And I convinced him that we could make a major sport. We could form a league. And that's what we did. We got started. I sold the wings and put all my efforts into indoor soccer.
Right. So now the MISL started, actually got off the ground in 1978?
In 1977.
1977.
It started, but the first game was in 78.
Guy, at that point in time, in 1977, what are you doing?
I was playing for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers in the NASL.
Right.
Actually, I take that back. In 77, I was just going over to Florida.
Okay.
I hadn't actually got to the Strikers, but I'd been there. I'd been playing in Los Angeles for the Los Angeles Maccabee.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my dad was coaching the Strikers, so I'd gone over to Fort Lauderdale, and that was when the NASL was starting to bring all star players. Yeah, there was all kinds of players coming over, just starting to come over from all over the world.
All right, and so you stayed with the Strikers with your dad as a coach?
Yeah, actually, the year in '78, I went to Tampa Bay. I was playing for the Rowdies, and then in '79, I went back to play for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers.
So wait a minute, your dad is coaching the Strikers, and you're playing for the Rowdies?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. A little bit, yeah.
I think your dad set it up that way.
Yeah, go play for them.
That's interesting. All right, and the MISL sort of took off. I mean, there was real good following in the stands and in the fans from at least some of the franchises right away.
Yeah, it's amazing the way that it started,
Yeah.
because this soccer in this country, the NASL,
Right.
I got involved with the Philadelphia franchise just financially.
Right.
And I went to a league meeting,
Okay.
and they had 24 teams,
Yeah.
and how great they were doing.
Yeah.
And I found out that 18 of the 24 don't gross $18,000 a game.
Yeah.
Really?
So when they heard that I was going to do indoor soccer, what they decided to do is they also were going to go into indoor soccer.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to myself, they're not making an ass where they want to lose the money.
Right.
Anyway, Earl and I came up with an idea that what we wanted to do is go out to the indoor facilities and get them to participate with us in finding franchise owners.
Gotcha.
So we had a meeting in Madison Square Garden
Okay.
with, I guess, about 8 or 10 of those entities. And this is how we got started. And we went out and I guess we started with Philadelphia, then we got a lot of other, interest. Cleveland. But what happened is that when they were going indoor, Houston wanted to come into our league, which was a Houston outdoor. And
Really?
I had to win them over. To play, with the MISL. And don't ask me how, but by some stroke of luck, Phil Woosman.
I remember Phil Woosman. Right. Yeah. He was commissioner of the NASL.
Yeah. At a press conference, somebody asked him, Mr. Woosman, are you going to be playing indoor soccer? And he said no. And Houston called me right away.
Yeah.
Right? Wow.
And now we had the league.
So there was, you bring up the NASL indoor thing because, all of us know here in retrospect that the NASL did eventually have indoor soccer.
Yes, they
and I
did.
know they flirted with the indoor game before they actually started indoor leagues. But my first recognition of the indoor game, oddly enough, was when the San Diego Sockers, and I don't remember what year it was, and I should, but paid money to the NASL not to play.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. The first year, they paid money not to play.
Not to play in the indoor league.
Yeah.
And then the next season, they played in the San Diego Sockers, played in the indoor league, and did not do that well.
Yeah, we struggled a little bit.
Just a little bit. Wasn't all that great. And it wasn't until what would have been the third NASL season. But while that's going on, the MISL is expanding.
Yeah, we were doing very well.
Yeah.
And a lot of interest. And a lot of interest came from owners,
Right.
players,
Right.
the facilities. We were well on our way.
Yeah. And the first 4 seasons, there was a little bit of a dominance story going on. And I think they called themselves the New York Arrows.
Yes. Yes.
And while that was going on, interestingly enough, again, being here in San Diego, we're going to have that San Diego tie, right, guys, in the conversation. But I remember that Julie D and Addie Coker and a couple of other players went over to the New York Arrows and played at least one season with the New York Arrows, but then came back to San Diego because I guess that they had an NASL contract and they were obligated to play. That was the year that the Sockers didn't play.
Right, yeah.
And these guys had to come back into the next off season, but the New York Arrows were still dominating the picture. But in your situation, how is this working out when you're taking this game to the other potential owners? How is this being sold, and how are they receiving it?
Well, first of all, the first thing we did, we hired Walt Chisowitz, who unfortunately is not alive today, and he was a national team coach.
Right.
And I didn't know anything about soccer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Walt's in my office, and I said, Walt, one of the problems I have is this 4x16 goal It's not going to sell.
Right.
So he said, measure the wall behind your desk.
Oh, no. Okay, so you're in your office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I called downstairs, the maintenance man brings it up, and it's 6x12. And we said, that's probably good. It'll bring the headshot in,
Wow.
and it'll bring the scissor kick in,
Wow.
and it's the way to sell the game. And that's not the way the NASL sold it. We sold it with the same skills
Yep.
of the outdoor game
Yep.
can go into the indoor game.
Yep.
And it worked out good. I tell a story that I was in Buffalo one time, and there was a group in a conference room who were interested in buying the franchise. And I'm talking about it, and I lost their interest,
Oh.
Don't forget, I'm selling something that they don't know. All of a sudden, I show them a videotape
Oh.
of Pat Erkley
Pat Erkley.
with a scissor. And somebody says, play that again.
Play it again.
And I always tell Pat Erkley, he sold more franchises than me.
And so that sold it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, the outdoor game and the indoor game, and Guy, can you speak to this? Because the outdoor game, I mean, obviously it's soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the skill set is the same. But there's a different nuance to the sport.
Yeah.
There's an open field, there's more room outdoors, there's a closed field, there's the boards indoors. But for something like what Ed's talking about with the bicycle kick, the scissor kick, these are done outdoors, but indoors you have the different angles to get the ball off the ricochet, or you have it you're closer to the net. Talk a little bit about how it takes for the player to make that transition, and if it is anybody's transition, or if it's just something that a certain player has.
Well, the indoor game, you sort of cut out the whole middle field of the midfield in order to stand. It's like every action that's in the box.
Wow.
You've got two boxes there,
Yeah.
and it's all happening. So
Yeah.
and you're always close to the goal. And I give you a great example about getting used to the game. It's probably Kaz Dana, right? When Kazzy played, and first, he came to San Diego as a big outdoor star. Obviously, he was one of the greatest players ever to come out of Poland. He was
That's
the
right.
best player in Europe in 1974. Which is
And
only
there
a
was
few
no
years
intention
before.
of playing indoors when he came in.
No, and I remember when we started playing it, and he's looking around going, what is this game like? And he doesn't have time on the ball, and Kazi was such an elegant player.
Absolutely.
And he was getting frustrated, and he wasn't, to be honest, he was struggling, he wasn't doing too well. And I remember
Right.
my dad was worried about it, because Kazi was one of his big stars.
Yep.
You can't not be a good player,
That's
be a
right.
big star.
That's right.
So he didn't know what was going to happen. It happened. But then after a couple of months, it just, one day Kazi came out there, and where he had been struggling and trying to figure this game out, and all of a sudden it seemed like it just clicked.
Yeah.
And then he suddenly figured the game. Well, once he figured the game out, he was unbelievable.
Yes, he was.
All his strengths from the outdoor game came into the indoor game, and he learned how to use it, And he was a fantastic player, but it took him a while, And I think that was one of the things with when we had our reserve team, because we realised, I know my father, he realised that you can't just come and step in and play from the outdoor and play indoor. There's too many different things that you had to. It took you a while, and a lot of the teams, they're bringing in players at the time, and they're expecting them because they were good outdoor players, so straight away they
And
could.
some of them didn't.
No, it was hard, but we put the reserve team, and we started putting really quality outdoor players in there just to teach them the game in a level where it doesn't cost us results.
Right.
Zoran Karic spent a year.
Right.
And then he went to Cleveland in the end, and he became a big star. And Paul Dougherty, spent a year in the reserves, and Rene Ortiz when he was young,
Right.
Gradually they figured the game out and did very well. But it took a little while for some of these players to figure it out.
One of the things that the MISL did was it attracted a large amount of American interest, and that was not just from the fan standpoint, but also from the players. I recently spoke with Don Ebert, and Don Ebert played in St. Louis and for the MISL throughout some of those early years. And one of the things that he said is that in St. Louis, it was sort of an us against them mentality, that they were a blue collar bunch of American boys that were going to, take it on from that standpoint. After the NASL folded, the MISL became the only game in town. I mean, that's all there was. For professional soccer in America,
That was it.
that was it. And all of a sudden, all of the best skills, all of the best people playing on the field were in that game, playing that game. And for that reason, it may never be able to be met. That level of the indoor game may have been the pinnacle of whatever it could ever be, because of the fact that everybody in America was playing the indoor game. But Ed, how did it move forward then once the NASL folded? And there wasn't that, I don't know, political battle back and forth. And all you guys had all of that ownership of the game of soccer in America.
Well, what happened is that, we didn't go in to compete with the NASL.
Yeah.
We went in that we were a league that they could utilize.
I thought so too.
And the shame of it all is that they saw us as competition.
I know.
They saw us as competition.
Yep.
And Earl and I used to we're at war and we don't even know what we're fighting for.
I know.
At one time, in the NASL, there was a rule that you had to play 2 American players.
Yep.
One had to play and one had to sit in the bench. But that was it. You had to have American players. Our concept is, let the American player to learn this game and be good.
That's right.
Fast story.
Okay.
Earl and I decided that we've got to do something that's international. So we made a contact with Russia, with the Soviet Union, for them to send a team over there to 6 games to play it.
I remember this.
Okay. So what happens is the first game is in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I'll never forget because they never had denims. So the Pittsburgh owner bought them denims.
No way. Okay. Jeans. We're talking jeans.
Jeans, yes.
Okay.
And Doug Verb, who was our PR guy, flew from New York to Pittsburgh. And all of these Soviet players were reading about war. So, these were tough times.
Yeah.
Still are again.
Yeah.
So anyway, Pittsburgh comes in. They're going to play. A good crowd is coming up, and they want to, arrange for them to practice in the morning at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So at 10 o'clock, the Soviet team comes, and the interpreter, the manager, calls me over, and he says, "Where's the field?"
Oh.
I said, "Down there."
Uh-huh.
We didn't come to play on that field. We came to play outdoor.
I had no idea.
They didn't even know they were playing indoor?
Really?
Now, I got a good experience about the Soviets from my friend Ed Snyder, who, when they got off the ice, I was with Ed when he went downstairs and he took the check. He said, "You better get back on the ice,"
Wow.
Which they did. So anyway,
Wow.
I take a walk with the interpreter. I said, "Look, go home." And believe me, I was shaking.
Yeah.
Go home.
Wow.
I said, "This is what we're paying you for.
Right.
Go home, and
Interesting.
forget it."
Yeah.
Do you recall they played 6 games on the tour?
Yes,
Do you recall how well they did through those 6 games?
yes. They won the first, second, third, and fourth game.
Really? Russia did.
Yeah. The 5th game, Timo beat them in Houston. Okay. Well, if you could have heard the noise that came out of their locker room
Really?
after that, because they were getting paid for a game or whatever.
Yeah.
Now the last game is in Cincinnati.
Okay.
They beat Cincinnati 22-2.
Oh my goodness! Oh, they came out mad.
I mean, but I want to tell you something. They knew the game,
Right.
and this is what we're talking. They knew the game with the size of our goal, the way they played. They knew it, and they were good.
That's interesting.
They were good.
That's interesting. And maybe we could get to a little bit about how that's gone to today in a few minutes, because today there's also a lot of outdoor players that are with the mini football game. We just had the mini football World Cup, and we'll talk a little bit about that because it's a totally different game, but it's international. It's being played on an international scale. So the MISL reached out to do an international tournament,
Yes.
and kind of got smoked.
Well, I want to tell you something. To tell you, I wasn't nervous. I was nervous. Pittsburgh had a big crowd, right? Our reputation was on the line.
Yeah.
We were advertising in all cities. We're playing the Russians.
That's right. Well, it's America versus Russia for
And
crying
the
out loud.
Russians want to go home because it's the wrong field.
Yeah.
Guy, I remember in San Diego, was it Dynamo Kiev?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
And Schalke 04.
Yeah,
And I think there was
yeah.
also an Australian team that came through. And I may be
Yeah.
wrong about that.
No, we did play. We played a little mini tournament, pre-season tournament. There was a Swedish team, an Australian team.
Okay.
I can't remember who the other team was, and then ourselves.
But I still have the game programs from the game against Schalke 04
Right,
and the
yeah.
game against Dynamo Kiev.
Yeah,
Now, this isn't the tournament you're talking about, because this is further along, this is further down the line. But it's interesting because that international connection, the interest for the international game, maintained, and it was also an interest for the fans.
right.
What do you remember from those games?
Well, we played Kiev, Dynamo Kiev. That was, I think that was the year they actually won the European Cup outdoor.
I
the
do
year
believe
before.
that's right.
Yeah, and so they came in thinking they were just going to come and just hammer everybody. They were
Right.
very confident because they've had a successful season.
Sure.
But at that time, I think the indoor game had become very sophisticated by then.
Right.
We learned the
Right.
tactics
That's
and all
right.
that. This is obviously a few years later than what Earl was talking about with the other team. So, I mean, and we were at the top of our game
Yep.
in there. So we ended up playing them, and I think we absolutely hammered them. I mean, they just couldn't figure the game out
That's
then. The game had got so sophisticated.
That's right.
And to a point where our players were trying to not do too much to score. We didn't want to embarrass them, you know. We wanted, but it was. I mean, they were shocked, and they had players who were the next year, I think, playing in the World Cup. I mean, they were good players, but again, it goes to that they just weren't ready for that the tactics and
Right. That speaks to what we were talking about earlier about how you adapt to the different nuances of the game.
and they were trying to stay on for 4 or 5 minutes. And, you know, their legs are shaking.
Yeah.
I mean, you go. It's a 90 second. We were like 90 seconds, and boom, 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 and you're off again. You know.
Right.
You know, one of the greatest players we had was Steve Zungel.
Yep, Steve Johnson.
And Steve escaped from Czechoslovakia.
Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia.
That's right.
He escaped and came over to play.
That's right.
So now I get a wire from FIFA that we can play him in our league because he belongs to Yugoslavia.
Right.
So Earl, God bless him, came up with a great idea. Earl went into a Philadelphia court,
Really?
true story, and got an injunction so he can play.
So, yeah, that's an interesting story because I mean I know that Zoltan Tok and Julie V both escaped also from Hungary, and that their whole deal was that they could earn a living playing indoor soccer because FIFA didn't recognize the MISL.
Well, what happened here is that they contacted the owner of the Arrows, Earl and I, FIFA, and said, can't play. Earl goes in, gets the injunction.
Okay.
They call, I take the phone call. And they said, we don't care what the courts in the United States say. There's no court bigger, right? FIFA. God, I swear. And Earl and I used to live.
They still have that. They still have that way of thinking.
attitude. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it was to the credit of, well, to the blessing, I think, of the fans and the game here in the United States that FIFA still doesn't recognize boards. I mean, pretty much across the board.
They think they rule the world.
Yeah, they rule the world. You know, and futsal is fine.
Yeah.
Beach soccer is fine.
Yeah.
You know, anything if it doesn't have any boards.
Yeah.
But if it's got boards, FIFA doesn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, Earl and I met them in New York, and we took them for dinner. And we found out there's one thing that would help our cause.
Okay.
A check.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Money?
A check.
Interesting.
So Earl, God bless him, negotiated
Really?
a deal with FIFA. So we became a member.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
But-
I didn't know that FIFA was ever recognized. Or
Well, FIFA was at one time, there was and Ed, you can probably go on about that. There was down in Mexico. There was a guy who was a big indoor fan, and he was very high up in FIFA, and he was promoting the game so that people would put it in there as part of the FIFA recognizing it.
interesting.
And then, but the president of FIFA was the Brazilian Avalanche, who liked the futsal game,
Right.
right? And he was more into the futsal, which is obviously a great game too,
Sure.
But so he was pushing that, and unfortunately, the gentleman from Mexico passed away,
Oh.
and he was he was the one who was pushing it with the boards and being like the game for FIFA. And of course, when he was gone, then they decided Avalanche became more getting his game in there, a bit more involved.
I remember Avalanche.
Yeah.
I was at the game at they opened up Lincoln Field in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And the first event was Manchester United against an American team. And sold out.
Sold out.
And the FIFA people and the United States Soccer sat with me, or sat right in front of me. And during the game, the main guy, I forget his name, called me over, he wants to talk to me. So I walk out. He said, Ed, I want to thank you for all that you've done for soccer.
Oh, amazing.
I said, oh God, I hope Earl's listening to that. Unbelievable.
So Ed, how do you feel? I'm gonna sort of jump forward a little bit on the timeline. Indoor soccer has had some issues as far as keeping teams, or for that matter, leagues. I mean, I kind of call it the alphabet soup of indoor soccer, and that is, I mean, I don't even want to begin to start listing them all off, but I mean, just all the different leagues, and then all of the different teams that are inside of that I don't know, graveyard. Now today there looks to be something going forward with the MASL. It looks like a relatively strong league. There seems to be some really good ownerships going on. But before we get to that, why do you think it's been so hard to keep this game going?
Well, Earl and I had a game plan. And we ran the league. But there are owners, directors, who had votes. And a great story that I have is that through a friend, Bob Wussler, got us on to USA Today every Friday night. Do you remember this? Every Friday night.
Carl Rote was doing the play-by-play.
Carl
He was doing the color for
and Jimmy Corvellis.
Yep.
And we would go into the city and we would have a luncheon. And it was terrific.
It was.
It was terrific. Now let me tell you the other end of the story. We were at a board meeting, right? And one guy says, how much is USA paying us for the rights?
Okay.
And we say, they're not paying us. We are so fortunate to get the exposure.
Right. We're happy to be there.
At that time of the...
Well, they want to form a TV committee. Okay?
Oh no.
And Earl and I at this point, even though we started a league, we're more like employees. So anyway, they have a TV committee. And nobody has experience at all. So they go and they're going to negotiate with Kate Koplitz of USA Today.
Oh no.
And what they did, which was nice, they said, look, we're going to take a rating. And we'll pay you based on the ratings. They dropped us.
Yeah, right.
They dropped us.
Right. It was free. As long as it's free,
Yeah.
we're happy to expose you out
Yeah.
to the different.
Yeah.
But if you want us to start paying you, not yet. I mean, you're biting off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Biting off their own hand. What about player salaries? Was there an issue? Do you think there was an issue at any point where the league began, or the game began to think too highly of itself in the sense of being able to pay players as to the availability of actually funds and money?
We had an owner. He was a nice guy, Jerry Buss,
Oh, Jerry Buss, absolutely, up in L.A.
and Jerry loved the game.
Yeah, Los Angeles Lasers, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Jerry decided that we should be unionized.
Okay.
And he was right. You know, you got to be. So we used Ed Garvey, who was a friend of ours.
Yeah.
Right.
in the union. So what you got to do, you got to have a salary cap.
Yes.
Well, the salary caps were more than the revenue.
Right.
Right. So you have a guy like Jerry Buss who sort of put the league under, you know, because you can, you know, you want to pay the players well, but again, you want to exist, you know.
Right.
So
What was your point of view being a player on the field when a lot of that might have been happening?
Well, I do remember, because in the NASL in '79, they had a big thing about the union, and they had the strike in the NASL, and I think it was Ed Garvey and there was Johnny Kerr in those days. And actually, I think the MISL had the union. You guys had the union before the NASL
yes,
actually had the union, their union. The MISL went with the union first. You know, and I know it's very hard, you know, when teams are not making money.
Right.
You know, and you know, it's hard to guarantee this and hard to guarantee that. And I realized it was a difficult situation for players who really, obviously they wanted to look after themselves and have some security and things, but they also were there trying to promote a game that was still in its early days.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So it was a difficult situation.
I know that the MISL, the first incarnation of indoor soccer, the MISL, it really got started, and it got started big. And there were fans, I mean, crowded stadiums. I mean, it really, really took off. It looked to me like, are you kidding? This is we're done. I mean, we're beating the NHL, we're beating the NBA, we're on our way.
Well, I mean, I look at an example of where, I mean, say Kansas City, you had the NBA team, the Kings,
Right.
and then you had the comments with the Lueckies, you know, promoting that game, and the Kings ended up moving to Sacramento because
Right.
they, you know,
Couldn't compete.
And I like to think in San Diego, the Clippers and us, the Clippers moving up to LA because it was, you know, maybe we were a thorn in you know.
That's interesting. I've never made that connection.
Yeah.
That's really,
Yeah.
probably very solid.
So,
well, one of the things we did, other than a playing field,
yeah.
is that we had these introductions with smoke and music,
Yeah.
and then we played music during the game.
Yep. Lights and
Some
smoke.
players hated it,
Yeah.
others.
but it was crazy.
Yeah, it was
was.
pretty great.
And it was
But we created a show
a show.
today.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I just watched the 76ers thing on
Yeah.
TV.
Oh, they're copying it.
Yeah, they're copying.
Yeah, that was started from the MISL. All that
absolutely.
intro. I mean, in Baltimore, they used to come down from a spaceship. Well,
I know.
it looked
That's
like a
right.
spaceship when they came through. But
Remember that?
it was-
I remember.
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw it. I went, "What is going on here?" I cannot imagine like a player like from Europe coming in and coming in their first game and seeing all that stuff. You know, spaceship coming out there, and
Right.
players coming out the
Right.
spaceship. Wow.
I don't know. I lost my thought process early on with how did this league fail? How did that first MISL league fail? I mean, what happened from that peak? Now, a lot of people are saying it was the Olympics. Was it the Olympics or was it the World Cup? Right afterwards, we got MLS.
Oh, I do know that when
Maybe it was. I think it was World Cup.
Well, I think one of the big things about getting the World Cup was the MISL was one of the main contributors to get the World Cup here in the United States. People don't realize without the MISL,
Right.
there might not have been a World Cup here in
We're talking 94, right?
94, yeah. The MISL, the way the voting was, the MISL right, had the majority of the votes, and they had to make sure that what they thought were the right people would be voted in who could get the World Cup into the United States.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened.
So now, when MLS shows up, just following the World Cup, and the World Cup was very successful.
But yeah, it was hugely successful. Yeah.
And there was and soccer, of course, is probably the biggest event in every city that year.
Yeah.
It was a huge thing. MLS starts up. Did that have a reason why?
Well, I don't. When the MLS started, actually the MISL had already played its last game at the time. I think it was in 90, 91, 92. And it was.
Oh, that's right. Because the World Cup is in 94.
94,
right.
yeah. And so by then, and there was a shame.
What killed the MISL?
Well, I think the way Ed said, referred to with the television, probably was one. We couldn't get it out, and we had a decent deal with USA. And when you think of it now, I mean, USA was a great. And we wanted everything now rather than building up. And not only that, it's in those days there was only the cables and it wasn't like it is now.
That's right.
And now it's a lot easier to get things out on TV, but or whatever. But then it was hard, and so it was very hard to compete. Without the television, I think.
But that wasn't the end of indoor soccer because the NPSL was going on already. I mean, it was already an active deal. Did you have any activity going on in these other leagues?
Well, I owned a team, the Philadelphia Kids. And where you find out there are people who go, I'm not knocking the directors, but they all have their own agenda. And they're there because they're successful in their businesses. That doesn't put them in the sports business. And I'll give you an example I never shared.
I believe it.
Rob Wessler takes me for dinner. He was one time they had a CBS Sports, and he brings Jimmy the Greek with him.
Yeah, I remember
Jimmy the Greek. Yeah.
And we're sitting there, and I'm trying to convince Jimmy the Greek to do a line, And Jimmy the Greek does nothing for nothing. You know what I mean? Jimmy's from the old school.
Yeah.
So we became good friends.
Oh, that's
He
great.
came into Philadelphia, okay? He calls me up. He wants to go to Bookbinders for dinner. We go there. The people in the kitchen heard that Jimmy the Greek was out having dinner, right? They all ran out to get his home. He walked down the street with Jimmy. He was like a folk hero.
Full-blown celebrity.
Okay. Finally, I work it out where he's going to take our line for the playoffs and put it into 81 newspapers and see how that works. And then give me a price to do it for the league. So it happens. Well, I go to the next board meeting or so. Everybody takes credit. And I'm not going to admit it to them.
Oh, no.
Okay, so everybody takes credit. Now, the time comes we've got to vote on it.
Okay.
And Joe Robbie, who was very good for me, says,
Joe Robbie.
I'm not paying anyone.
Yeah. That's
They should pay me.
that sounds like Joe.
Right? That sound like? And I called him, I said, Jimmy, they won't go for it. He said, neither will I.
Neither will I.
But see, again, I learned this from it. Football is big.
Right.
Because if the Eagles play New England tomorrow, you don't care unless you have a bet. Okay? And I'm not a gambler. That would have helped us get the exposure.
Yeah, no kidding.
Lost opportunity.
It was a great opportunity. USA was a great opportunity.
Right.
We had many opportunities. The union.
Yeah.
If if it were done well,
Right.
would have helped us. But these things happen.
So let's move up to modern day.
Okay.
Okay. Modern day, we have the Major Arena Soccer League. Now, you asked me a question when we first got together here today. You asked me a couple questions. Let's throw some of those out there. And Guy, I want you to be a part of this too.
When Earl and I started, we started Major Indoor Soccer. Of course, that league has come and gone a couple of times. Now they've changed it to Major Arena Soccer. So I've been getting calls from certain people. They can't do that. It's not indoor soccer. I said, it is indoor soccer, but it's played in the arena. If my grandson goes to play soccer, he's playing indoor soccer.
Indoor soccer.
He's not playing arena soccer.
Right, yeah.
So I agreed with him that when it's played professionally, it should be a major arena soccer league. And when it's done on the youth level.
So what I told Ed, he asked me, what do you think about the arena name or the indoor name? And I told him, I said, well, all right, if you're going to stick with the Major Soccer League naming, the MISL has been used 3 times and failed. The MASL is the league we have, but arena soccer is not the game we play. We play indoor soccer. It just happens to be played by the Major Arena Soccer League.
Yeah.
That's kind of my take. What do you have about that?
Well, although in San Diego, most of the indoor soccer facilities we have are amateur and youth. They're outdoor.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So they're arenas.
So they're arenas.
But they're outdoors.
So I think we have to look at that. But maybe the arena soccer might be in a place like San Diego.
When the arena name first came in, I think it was with the PASL when the soccer that league.
Yeah.
And a lot of the teams played like in Tijuana, or even San Diego and Del Mar.
Yeah.
They were playing in an arena that wasn't necessarily indoors.
No.
So maybe that's how the name.
Because in Mexico they call it football rapido.
Rapido, right? That's right.
Yeah. But it's still the same. However you word it, I mean, the game is still similar.
Right.
I enjoyed it as indoor soccer, but I enjoy it as arena soccer, and I totally understand. I mean, you've got. It sort of goes with the fact that you got arena football, so it's very.
That's right. Arena football. That's right.
But,
okay, so there was another question that you asked me. It was concerning scoring.
Oh, when I was in the MPSL, there was a what do you call it? A 3-point line.
Yeah.
And I think your answer, and I think you should answer, was it's not soccer. It has to be one goal.
So he asked me about the multi-point system, and I'd like to know what you think about that.
Well, let's talk about Pat Ercoli's goal. Right, let's say that for an example. Overhead scissor kick that was probably within in the old MPSL, there would have only been a 1-point goal or 2, right? And it was a fantastic goal. It was an absolutely brilliant goal. That, and you hit a ball from far out, and it could dribble in and go in, and that's worth 3 points. I think.
Very good.
Yeah, I think a goal is a goal. Is 1 point, and it could be a fantastic goal. It's all about the quality of the goal. It's one goal. It doesn't matter where on the field.
I'm right there with you, Guy. The way I responded, having not being a player, okay, being a player, that's a perfect answer. Not being a player, my perspective is that whether you're playing futsal or beach soccer or outdoors, soccer is a goal, is a point.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, why complicate it? It's a simple game in many ways, And I remember when the MPSL was doing that, and I look at the scores, and I go, I'm trying, what's the real score?
Right.
I'll be trying to figure out what the real score is.
Exactly, and that was another thing that I said to Ed was, I mean, in outdoor soccer, maybe you might want a gimmick that's going to up the point spread, sort of like NFL has a 7 points for a touchdown. But in indoor soccer, you don't need that.
You don't need that.
It's 9-7 already anyway.
Yeah, you got enough goals. You got enough of that. I agree. I like it. One goal. If the ball's in the back of the net, it's 1 point. It's a goal's a goal.
All right, so everybody who's watching, Let's find out. Let's find out what Ed has to say about that, because I know you're the one being questioned about it. What's your favorite point system? One goal.
He just answered it.
Yeah. Okay. And what's your take about the arena indoor game?
You answered that one.
I answered that one. Okay. All right. So it's indoor soccer, but we play in the major arena soccer league.
Right.
Okay. Very good. All right. So I'd like to just throw this out there, guys. This is. Are you kidding me? I'm in Disneyland right now. I'm sitting here with you guys. This is like Disneyland for me. Do you have anything you want to add to the history of our game and what's moving forward?
Yeah, I'll tell you what's important to me, that the youth today, the youngsters today, are playing indoor soccer.
All right.
Okay?
I know.
And they're playing it by the millions. I mean, there are so many facilities. You probably know better than me. I know in Philadelphia there are 6, 7 indoor facilities. You know, when I started it, there were none. But, you know, when it's winter, you don't know what winter is.
No, we don't have that here. Yeah. We don't participate in winter.
When mom and dad can drive the kid through the snow,
yeah,
you know, he has a place to play.
That's so good.
Well, I remember when I was coaching in Las Vegas in the CISL, and there was no indoor facilities then, and we had to play in this old warehouse, and there was a pole. We put his field around, and there was this pole, a supporting pole that we couldn't get rid of, so we had to play around the pole.
Wait. You're in Las Vegas, and there's a pole?
Yeah.
Was there?
Yeah, I know, yeah. Unfortunately, it was an old warehouse. I would have had no trouble signing players the other time. But it wasn't, and then, of course, the last time we went to Vegas, what was that, 4 months ago, Ed? When we were, I mean, that beautiful facility, and I was thinking, God, I wish I had this when I was there. You know, it was beautiful. Kidding. So, and it's so many. Everywhere you go now, there's kids playing indoor soccer, and there's facilities all over the place. You know, and I'm sure, Ed, I mean, can't believe it. You know, there's 40 years later.
I know, huh?
Look how many.
I know. It's all because of you, buddy.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all because of you, man. One of the things that's being done with a lot of the kids these days is, or even the current players, is they're using the indoor game and the indoor facility as a way to train and hone those skills for the outdoor game.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, they're not even playing. They're not even intending to play outdoor traditional soccer, but they're going to the indoor field or the futsal field, and they're using that facility in order to hone their skills.
Yeah, and you have to have close control to play indoor. I mean, it's when we used to play both. I always remember we'd be playing an indoor season, you know, and then you start to play outdoor after the season, after the indoor season, and you look at the field, it's huge, and you had so much space, you know. Yeah. And then when you go finish the outdoor season, you go play indoor, and everything's close again, you know. And you touch it, your first touch it has to be so close, and you know.
You know what we haven't discussed? The goaltenders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the goaltenders in indoor soccer, basically what
they're gladiators.
The game. Outdoor, there's not that many, but it's amazing. You know, MASL is so great.
Yeah.
And you guys had a couple of really good goalies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the goalies are gladiators, aren't they?
Oh.
I mean, they're taking these shots on goal from full speed at 5 feet out, 10 feet out, 15 feet out.
Yeah, no, well, goalkeepers have always been a little bit different. You know, they're a whole different type of soccer player.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when Alan Mayer wore a helmet.
Started to wear that helmet.
Yeah. He was smart.
Yeah. Well, Alan was that guy who would go in head first.
Yeah, he would.
You know?
He had no sense of self-preservation.
I mean, every other goalie would take a sliding kick on it and try to, but Alan would go in head first.
Yeah, I think I have a picture of me and Alan playing together, and he's diving head first, his natural, going right into the thick of things.
Yeah, I read a story once. I don't know how accurate it is, but I read a story once that he would practice with a tennis racket, and the whole idea was that he wouldn't let the tennis ball get past him.
No, yeah.
And that's on a tennis court, not on a tennis court without a goal, just anything you could do to keep that tennis ball from getting past him. I mean, if you could stop a tennis ball, you could stop a soccer ball.
Alan has been a great ambassador for English soccer.
Oh, no
Yes,
kidding.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And Shep. I'm in touch with Shep all the time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and
Yeah, they're both. They were both fantastic goalkeepers. You know, and, and you talk about Alan playing tennis. I don't play Alan tennis here.
Okay.
He's a good tennis player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you would know that.
Yeah.
So maybe that was an accurate.
Yeah, no, I can
article.
imagine him. And if being as a great tennis player, if he's whacking it and trying to save his own shots, that's good training. That's very good training.
I like
That's,
that.
Yeah.
that's amazing.
That's a good line.
Ed Tepper, thank you
Thank you.
so much.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And what a great place to meet. Guy Newman,
Great, yeah.
thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Ed,
I
good
mean,
to
this
see.
has been an outstanding afternoon to meet with you guys and to sit here in San Diego. Guy Newman, Ed Tepper. My name is Greg Suttie, Suttie on Soccer. Thanks so much for watching. Hey guys, if you like what you just watched, follow me on social media. Go to SuttieOnSoccer.com, click on the Patreon link, and support me there. Thank you very much.